In March 2011, the country of Syria found itself in a state of crisis, forcing many natives to leave their home country of Syria. Boston students are now reaching out and lending a helping hand in any way they
Okay.
can.
So my name is Basma Alouche. I'm a second year graduate student at the Fletcher School. I'm getting my master's in law and diplomacy. My focus at Fletcher is on transitional justice and rule of law. So it's mostly in post conflict reconstruction. I've been focusing a lot of my studies on learning from other contexts and other conflict areas and applying it to Syria. So it's mostly been lessons learned from other areas that we can potentially apply to Syria once um, the conflict ceases.
My name is Gabby Aquino. I'm a senior at Boston College. I am a leader of the Catholic Relief Services Student Ambassador Program here at BC. And this week we held a 3-day series to stand in solidarity with Syrians. We just finished our third day, which was an interfaith vigil in collaboration with the Muslim Student
Salam
Association.
Hasbaba vividly recalls the day she had to leave
When
her
I
home
was
country of
living in
Syria.
Syria, it started like things started happening, and my parents would start to say that oh we might leave, blah blah blah, and then it just never occurred to me that like I'd come back here because like we settled down and we got a house and everything, and then in the place where I was living in, it wasn't that severe compared to other places, but we were living close to kind of military or like police place where like that was kind of dangerous. And when the day that we left, it was literally in one day. So I was actually sick that day, and we packed all of our stuff in one day, and like my parents had to go and get me like medicine, and basically there was a barrier because there's always barriers like everywhere. You can't like leave without your if you don't have like a ID or whatever, you can't leave. And then there was a barrier, and then they told them that if you cross over here, we won't assure your safety. Because what they would do was basically a lot of people who would like in their cars they would go and they just shoot them after they'd like let them go. It's crazy. Like this is one of the like
Experiencing and hearing stories like these, students have begun to put their own foot forward in efforts to help the Syrian crisis.
After that, at Fletcher, a classmate and I began a group called the Syria Working Group at Fletcher, and the purpose of the group is threefold. The first objective is to kind of keep the talk of Syria in the forefront of discussions at Fletcher, kind of educate the student body about what's going on in Syria from a multidisciplinary perspective. We recently had 3 events. We will have 3 events this semester. The first one that we already had was about, it was more of a security perspective, when we got someone to speak to us about what was going on with the rebels and the fighters from the U.S. government perspective, and what happened with the $500 million project to train the rebels and how that failed. The second event we had was the historical perspective on Syria. So a professor spoke to us about how the history of Syria has affected the conflict and how, why it is the way it is right now. And then the third topic the third talk we'll have is about the Russian foreign policy on Syria and, Syrian-Russian relations. Um,
These active students have been able to do small things to get people in their
On Monday,
campus
we had
involved.
a visual out in the academic quad where a lot of students pass by between class, and we did this visual kind of thing where we asked students if they were a refugee and they could only take one thing from their home before they left for good, not knowing when they'd come back. We asked them that question, had them write it down, and then they put it in a suitcase. Then we offered opportunities to learn more about what's going on. We had a giant map of showing numbers of where the refugees are going. We had pictures of individual Syrian refugees and how they were leaving their homes. And then we also offered a petition that one of our students wrote that urged Congress to pass one of the bills that some senators or congressmen have been working on.
Awesome. These student run organizations are beginning to make noise on college campuses and putting forth a helping hand to help the Syrian crisis in any way they can.